Hey, everybody. Welcome back again to another Gamerz podcast. We've got some things to talk about, a couple new games, and we have a special guest today, but we'll get into that when we get right back. And we are back. We are live, and we are in. And if you're CJ, you're annoying. So,
I am not your father.
but we do have a special guest with us today, joining us on the podcast. But he's only here by audio because he's got a Billy Strange complex.
He's just ugly. Ugh.
Brandon Waters joins us today, a fellow racer from the Sim Pit. Say hello, Brandon.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the podcast, huh?
Well, we're happy to have you. It's always good to have somebody else to talk to because you know how CJ drives me insane.
And we've just covered this off air. You know, if I didn't speak to Todd, then nobody would. It's just, you know.
Yeah, you almost called me Galley again.
Welcome to another show.
And hello, Heiko. I do want to recognize that I am watching the chat here, but I was doing some last minute things before the show. So, welcome to the show, Heiko.
Welcome.
Heiko is our German friend from Germany, who's also part of the Sim Pit.
He's German from Germany.
He's a German from Germany, not Austria.
Wow. Holy cow.
You know, because some Germans are from Austria, you know.
I'm just looking at one of his comments here. He's not bold enough for Iran. You don't have to be bold to be Iran.
I know Germans aren't from Austria. That's just a joke. I'm just kidding.
Chuckle.
Well, we don't even know if he's from Germany because
really
he could be an alien. We're not sure, or a robot, so we're not sure of his source of origin.
Yeah, Bujo calls him the Terminator, so
yeah,
he's a T-2000.
Michael, if you could just provide your DNA breakdown in the chat there, I mean, just so we can assure you the argument, that's fine.
10W40, I'm sure.
WD4.
And here's the funny part about Heiko. He poses as a German, so as far as we know, he's German. But
so
you gotta you have to question it because he has a sense of humor.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Is he a drunk German? High, possibly crack, maybe.
But
it is Heiko.
Heiko.
Hey, Kimber.
Haiku. But
we're not attacking Germany, by the way. Just I know the way this podcast is going. This has nothing to do with Brexit. We're not attacking, Germany here.
No. Kimber has joined us in the chat. That is Brandon's better half.
Just keeping an eye on a minute.
Yeah.
Can't let him listen to the internet just entirely by himself.
Better behave, or she's gonna run upstairs and kneecap me.
But I remember the funniest joke Heiko ever said while we were doing a race. Somebody was saying something about trying this particular car, and Heiko said, "I can't drive that car. Germans can't drive a car called an SS."
Oh, nice, very cool, very cool.
So
it's got some classic one-liners.
That was the classic joke.
Oh man!
And then that's why we keep him around. We love having him around. Not only is he a great driver, fast driver, but that's what you do with robots, right?
Oh my lord! God.
But anyway, so we're going to be talking about a couple of new games that are hitting. One that is partially released and one that is giving us a demo of what they're going to be releasing. I believe it's next month, right? For Forza Horizon 4?
October 2nd is when it's due to be released, yeah.
So they released the demo this past Wednesday on Game Day. If people didn't realize, last Wednesday was National Game Day here in United States. I don't know whether it qualified around the world. Yeah, it was National Game Day. So,
woohoo! Like I need an excuse to game.
Oh, that was
I
about
mean,
super soft tires. Okay, that's right. That's what that joke was. We were saying you should drive super softs, and he's like, I can't
I
drive something
suppose
that says SS.
if you're in that sort of kind of situation, then your pit stop, your pit strategy is going to be well off if you're doing something like Formula One, isn't it? Schumacher never ever used the super softs.
So yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the much anticipated Assetto Corsa Competizione. And a couple other things. Basically, right now we're gonna get to know Brandon. So, Brandon, what got you into sim racing?
Oh, we didn't do 10 questions. You never told me.
No,
We
no,
could
no.
have done
We're
the
not
old
doing 10
step.
questions. Shut up.
Oh, you're lucky, Brandon. You are so lucky.
As far as sim racing goes, boy, I don't know. Too much disposable income, poor life choices. It's really hard to narrow it down.
I
But
don't. Well, you said you were an
Poor
RC
life
racer
choices.
young when you were younger. So
I love that. Poor life choices. My life sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sim race. Works for me.
I grew up in a racing family. My grandfather and my father both raced, and then it just wasn't an option for me when I was young. But being the age that I am, was around at the advent of arcades and home gaming, and I think like most of us, we all got our taste on the early consoles, and we had an Atari as a kid, and the one with a wood green finish, and
2600.
just kind of went from there. And as far as actual competition, short of like a slot car track, that most of us had when we were young, Tyco or whatever, got into RC car racing, got an RC car for Christmas one year, and got my first taste of competition that way. And then, ever since then, it just kind of evolved. And I'd say probably the biggest thing that got me into digital racing or sim racing was the old PS1 and Gran Turismo.
Mm-hmm.
And had some friends that had a system. I didn't even have one, and we would spend many hours till late in the evening playing Gran Turismo and taking turns, and doing that sort of thing, and all of our weekends racing on there. And then once the online aspect of things came around, it evolved from console racing. I eventually made the transition to Xbox, and Forza got me going as far as I was concerned. And I reached out, wasn't much for the online lobbies, and
Even back then.
yeah, and ended up finding an online league. Some guys, a gentleman out of Canada, had set up a league called the Forza World Challenge, and they would PI adjust all the cars to where it was a level playing field, and it was just a fantastic experience, even on Forza. And that's kind of where it came full circle.
And like most of us, a lot of sim racers today in this generation, I should say, probably, who really started in late 80s. No, not late 80s, mid 90s. Let's say mid 90s. A lot of us tend to have migrated from consoles as to where, which is, I find, but when you have guys that are my age now, I'm going to be 47 in a couple months, and like Sean Cole, who is basically, he runs the Sim Pit where I met Brandon, because he's part of the Sim Pit crew. Sean Cole is just a few years older than me, but he's been into the whole PC aspect of sim racing from the beginning. So it tends to be a lot of guys who are my age into sim racing have basically been in the PC era. I'm one of those rare ones to where I only started about 5 years ago. And guys that are younger, and we know who they are, like yourself. How much younger are you, Brandon?
I am 42.
42.
So not much.
You're not much younger. So a lot of guys in our generation, CJ is only a couple of years younger than me, so he's hey, look at that! Finally, somebody you're older than, CJ.
I'm ages with Brandon. I'm 42.
So a lot of us have come from the console generation, so I find that intriguing a lot, because a lot of us in our generation who have come from the consoles a lot of us came from the Gran Turismo Forza. But you'll get guys like Sean who, and I can't even remember all those games that first started the sim racing aspect before consoles ever did. But and then some of us started in the arcades. Nowadays, kids, you talk about being in the arcades, they don't even know what the hell you're talking about, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Yeah, they wouldn't know what it's like to be scrounging for quarters.
I
think
you're talking about
consoles,
pole position. What was that, CJ?
In the arcade. I think consoles have killed the arcades because there's no reason to go out to an arcade anymore.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you go to an arcade now is maybe to try and pick up one of those teddies with those 3-prong things that keep falling off, and waste your money. Or buy chewing gum and a little toy and an egg. That's it. There's no reason. I mean, I remember, I suppose, us sounding old, if you like, going out on the weekend and going down to the arcade and try to save as much change as you could, coins, and go down there and get the best you could. You could be in there all afternoon, in an arcade having loads of time. Now, kids are sat on the consoles for 8 hours a day while the parents are doing smack in the room next door.
Yeah, we used to hang out in the malls all the time to go to the arcade. In fact, where I'm from, in America, what we called the teenagers that hung around in the malls and the arcades, we called ourselves mall rats. And in fact, they did a movie on it called Mall Rats. But
Mall Rats, okay.
Yeah, that's basically what we did. We hung around the food courts in the arcades.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
So,
there you go.
I don't know if you had that kind of stuff out there in Idaho, in the middle of nowhere.
I haven't lived here all my life, but they did, they've had those sort of things here, and I definitely fully know about arcades.
Well, that's right. You're from down south, aren't you?
I'm kind of been all over. I'm a bit nomadic as far as that's concerned. I'm originally from California.
Oh.
I've lived in Nashville, Idaho, a vast portion of my life. It's from so long ago that I just consider that home basically at this point. And yeah, so
he's rubbered in.
Yeah, exactly. But I definitely know what you're referring to as far as back in the day. It's crazy how things evolve, and as far as that's concerned, including gaming. You were talking about how most of us have come from console gaming. I think when I think about sim racing subjectively, it's like, okay, you have that group like myself that, I had a Commodore 64 and I had, some early PCs that I did play some, what they considered sim racing titles at the time, Papyrus stuff. I remember an IndyCar game. I don't remember the name of it, but it was pretty in depth. And, but there was never that connection, because I don't think the peripherals were there. It was always, keyboard or maybe a joystick or something along those lines. So really calling that a sim is hard for me just because there was no way to go, okay, yeah, I'm driving an actual car. And I don't think until later on, for most of us, it didn't really connect that, hey, these things that we're playing as entertainment that are video games can actually be a viable substitute or analog for real world racing. Yeah. And I think guys like Sean and those guys that seem to have come from that end of things where they just dove in and went with the early PC stuff. I think most of those guys seem to have come from a different background where it's, they wanted to race real life, be it autocross or actual road racing or drag racing here in the States. It's a pretty popular thing because it's pretty accessible. And I think for them, it came about as, okay, this is something that's viable. I can do it whenever I want, and it's relatively affordable, exactly, in comparison, versus doing top level karting, which is supposed to be an approachable avenue to motorsport, and it's really easy for somebody to spend $100,000 running a kart for a year in a top level league.
Right. Exactly, and we do know that Sean did come from a karting background. He came from bike background. He's pretty much been involved in a lot of the things on wheels out there in California, where of course he's from. And to be honest with you, I think in this country, in America, excuse me, a lot of your stuff like that came from either the California areas or the down south areas. I think that was a popular way to grow up in those days. It was not so much that popular up here in the Northeast. We're just boring up here in the Northeast, to be honest with you. Basically,
finally he admits it. He's boring.
No. I'm not from the Northeast. I'm from Vegas. So
you're from Vegas.
I was born in Vegas. But I've spent most of my life here in the Northeast. But I am from Vegas. That's where I was born, Clark County.
You told me that before. I think I've probably forgot.
Yeah. So
Vegas,
I prefer to tell people that's where I'm from.
Are you like that specimen that CSI let walk out the door?
Hey, what? Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm one of the I'm living proof that what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas.
Quick, close the borders.
But that's quite possibly true, Brandon. Yeah.
No, Heiko's older than me, aren't you, Heiko? They're calling Heiko the crusty one because he was talking about actually being in PC racing when he was 11. And what was it? It was called GP. Jeff Grammon's GP1 was the start of sim racing on PC. That's what Heiko says. Thank you for that information, Heiko.
My first gaming was PC. It was an Amstrad CPC 464 with built-on tape deck and color monitor, but there was no sim racing involved. There was no.
I had an Atari. Whatever, one of those things you just plug into the TV. Keyboard, computer things. I to believe it or not, I grew up. I was one of the rare kids in my neighborhood who never had a Commodore 64.
I've never owned one.
Never owned one.
Such an oddity.
My friend owned one, and the amount of joysticks he would break doing like sports games. So you lie on the floor, you got the joystick, and you like whip it like furiously, try to get your little character to run in the Olympics or something. You're like, and then you snap the joystick. You're like,
oh yeah, I remember those games. Or when the Nintendo came out, and you had those track and field games, and you had to hit the buttons, and you'd sit there, and then you'd found a way to wedge the controller on your leg and get your hand moving real fast. You just. I gotta run faster!
The mat they had for the Nintendo, that was the same thing. Had little pads, that you had to run on, and then you get tired, and obviously, so you just get down there and punch it. And,
See, when you like these games, right? You had to sort of do your left
power glove.
I was trying to find which was the fastest way. So it was like the two fingers. You get cramp. I was like this.
Or the slide.
And then you're like, sort of halfway through, you go, change hands. I'm so. And you get to the end, you're like, I'm sweating. You go, that's round one. Round one of 10.
Kids today will never know the struggle.
You watching CJ do that. He could play guitar.
The struggle was real. It really was, mate. It really was.
See, that's just it. Sometimes I feel bad for the kids today because, they have these great. I mean, when I was younger, I never thought in a million years I'd be playing games with the type of graphics and so forth that we're getting today. I mean, that wasn't something that was actually fathomable to me. And but to be honest with you, today's kids who never really had the experience, growing up through the video game era. They don't understand what the things we experimented with, the things we did. I mean, today they've got all these computer programs and special controllers and cheat controllers
Snapchat
and all stuff, auto fires and all this stuff to help them. It's just like, you guys don't know what's actually struggling.
But friends, at least we know where to find those players. Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Not anymore. Call of Duty's old school now. It's all PUBG and Fortnite.
From what I hear, that
don't mention Fortnite.
No.
Your favorite.
No.
That the Call of Duty Blackout is actually being well received as far as their battle royale. So, but anyway,
it's not big Call of Duty.
I want to, while we have Heiko here, because Heiko is supposedly German. We have a story here. And it's a typical story of what's been going around lately of people getting pissed off at Sony.
Yes.
And it's basically happening right now in Germany. And the German Consumer Association of North Rhine-Westphalia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is basically telling Sony to kiss their ass. There's been a lot lately about Sony and their anti-consumer ways, and people. To me, Sony has always been anti-consumer, but because people have always been so anti-Microsoft, they never really looked into what Sony was actually doing. They just thought Sony was, hey, Sony created the PlayStation. They're the greatest, game console company ever because they gave us all. And it's just, you guys have never really looked into what Sony is making you guys, the hoops Sony makes you guys jump through to, play their games. But there's a lot of stuff here they're talking about as far as spending. They're how when your kids, you end up catching kids doing stuff and building up money on microtransactions or accidentally buying stuff. Well, according to this, now whether it's just in Germany or not, or whether it's worldwide, Sony, they're saying Sony is saying, oh well, you should have watched your kid better. In some ways, I can agree with that. And they're saying, not our problem. You're still going to pay us for it. But this German association is saying, screw you. That's and kind of you have to see both sides of this. In some ways, I agree with that. Because of the failures in parenting these days, which is not just in America, it's global. Parents are using TVs and video games and all that stuff that's becoming more of the babysitters nowadays. And in some ways I can agree with too, because in today's generation it's not exactly safe to just let kids hang out in the corners anymore with all of the child abductions going on. So it's like there is so many factors involved in all this.
A few weeks back, wasn't it?
But there's so many factors you really need to consider. It's like, we can understand how parents are, but you want to keep your child safe, so you're letting them stay in the house and playing the video games and all this other stuff, but then you're not monitoring what they're doing as far as the video gaming. And then when you get screwed because they spent this money that you didn't pay attention to, what do you do? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are. It's just about trying to find a happy balance as to how they're going to go, how they really are going to go about this. They can't just come down with a big foot and say, "That's it." You're going to do as we say. It's not black and white, and I think they are going to find it out pretty sharpish. It's just not that simple. You can't just treat, I suppose, your consumers and just treat your potential buyers and the people that got you there in the first place. You can't treat people that way. So they are going to have to really think hard about how they're actually going to go, how they're going to do this properly, to the point where it's controlled, it's managed, but you're not, pushing people away from the business that you've fought so hard.
Yeah. What do you say, Brandon?
Well, I don't know. This particular topic's kind of a touchy one, because it kind of borders on a commentary on society right now, kind of what you were touching on as far as absentee parenting and the safety of our world, which honestly I don't know if our world's any more dangerous than it ever was. I mean, I remember my parents telling me when I was a kid, hey, the world's a dangerous place. You got to watch out for certain things. Don't touch that. It's hot. Don't get in that van with that stranger. That sort of thing. So I don't know if it's any more or less dangerous than it's ever been, but I think, it's more of a commentary on accountability, in society anymore. But as far as the actual, thing of, hey, we're going to hold you accountable for these charges, I have no problems with that. I mean, if you're going to give your kids access to this tool and it has this in there, if you didn't do your homework up front and go, hey, I don't want to authorize this, or maybe I shouldn't give little Johnny ability to run up $1,000 worth of microtransactions on my credit card, that's on you. In my opinion.
Well, I mean, you can get these. I don't know if you've got in the States. These they're quite controversial. It's like child credit cards now, where the kid is given a card, and it's to teach them management of money, and where the parents will load so much money onto that card, so the child can go into the shop and they can buy the sweets or the games or whatever they want to buy.
It's like a debit card. You can only spend what's available.
You can only spend what's on the card.
Yeah.
So they can't go over on it.
Prepaid card.
I think, that'd be a way of doing it as well. I don't see a problem with it, because I think children now, they don't have that value of, the appreciation of money and, the cost of things.
Absolutely.
And I think having that as part of the solution would work, because then it doesn't get out of control, because the child can only spend whatever the parent has loaded, their allowance of pocket money on that card. And therefore, it excludes that whole thing of, right, well, you've run up a bill, where's our money? I think it would stop Sony or anyone else who would, choose to take this line. It would stop them coming down hardball saying, well, you paid for the service, now you've got to pay us. Look at a different approach to it, rather than just going in hardball. We're this massive company, and you're going to do what we say needs to be done. There's other sort of avenues that can be taken to rectify or even prevent the situation that's arising in the first place.
I mean, really, how's it any different? Microtransaction. How's it any different than you're telling your kid, okay, walk into the store, and they walk into Walmart or whatever, and they just go around, they start eating candy, they start playing games, they tear stuff up.
Yeah.
How's that any different than going, hey, that thing has a price, that has a value to it, you have to be responsible for that? Is it just because it's digital and there's not a tangible item that it makes it different? I don't think so. You can't expect the company to pay for that. That's on you.
Yeah, I think digital transactions have probably, well, no, they have made things worse, because it's so easy now to do a digital transaction, and it's incredibly easy to make, mistaken purchases, whether it be a digital game or an add-on, the microtransactions. Sometimes it's very easy to do, and depending on what game you're playing and on what platform you're playing, especially on mobile, you can, without realizing it, you've just spent $5 here or $5 here, and you don't know until you get your bill and you go, where did I spend this money? And it's very, very easy to do. And I think there needs to be sort of more labels put in, so that when you are making these microtransactions or digital purchases, there has to be that option. And you don't really see it where you get that last chance. Are you sure you want to continue with this purchase? Yes. And then go on to the final screen and you go, right, I'm making the purchase. There needs to be another level put in to prevent the build-up of all this that's actually happening.
Yeah. And
another checkbox or something.
Yeah, Kimber brings up a good point. Where I was saying that, especially with Sony and their parental controls that they recently added to their system, which don't know why it wasn't there from the beginning, but they have methods in place to lock kids out of certain things, and I agree with her. But there's also a point to where when you have kids, when you have gamers, all right, so somebody like us, okay, we get that. We're gamers, so we know how to use those consoles and all that stuff, and we know about things like the parental controls on them and all that stuff. But you got to remember, there's also parents out there who aren't gamers, and they just buy these game boxes for their kids, and they don't know nothing about them.
Well, today.
He froze again. You're frozen again.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm back. Yeah. Today I was on Marketplace. It's really weird to talk about this, right? And a guy was selling a PS4. Now, this is quite common. In his advert, it states PS4 with loads of games already downloaded on it. So I took the time to message him to explain that unless you pass on your PSN account, whoever buys that console is not going to have access to those games. And there's a lot of people who just don't understand that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's very, very basic. At the same time, these kids are sat in the room for hours and hours, where the parents are doing whatever. It's lazy parenting. Put in front of the console, but don't have to worry about you. The kids spending money here, they're spending money there. There's a comment there from Kimber saying, but being exposed to certain content, and then kids play games without any parental guidance, and then the next thing they know, that parent's then suing a game company because little Johnny's playing Grand Theft Auto and he's just murdered 7 hookers and taken out a family with a truck.
Yeah. You know how many
You know what I mean?
7-year-olds
Oh.
I saw in line with their parents buying GTA 5? I couldn't believe what I was saying. I was like, do you even pay attention to what your kids are playing?
Mm-hmm.
I was
see,
literally
what-
standing in Walmart. I ended up buying the game. I was like, you know what? I've never really played a GTA game. Everybody's talking about this one. Okay, I'm going to buy it. So I'm standing in the Walmart, and I'm going to buy the game. And there's a couple people in front of me, and this kid, this little 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, he's talking about da. And I was like, oh really? So you're getting Grand Theft Auto 5? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, what part do you like most? Do you like the running around and killing people because you're a gangster, or do you like the part where you go to the strip clubs and watch the strippers take off their clothes and then you kill them later and steal the money? And his mother looked at me like, what? I said, oh yeah, that's in the game. And she was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No, don't you pay attention to what your kids are playing?
Wow.
See, when Call of Duty World at War came out, I remember this is when we used to queue for games at midnight, midnight release. Went to Asda, which is pretty much Walmart, and there was I was there with 2 of my friends who were from the forces, and there was a guy in front of me with his little boys, and he went to buy it. But the guy, even though he pre-ordered it, the guy wouldn't give him the copy, and he's like, what do you mean? Why can't I buy it? Well, who's it for? Well, it's for my sons. Well, they're not old enough, so I'm not going to sell it to you. Right, I'll buy it for me. Well, no, I can't sell it to you because I know
Yeah.
I'm not selling it to you. And the guy kicked off, and I thought, the game comes with a rating that is above the age of your children. Think about what you're doing. You're buying a very graphic war game for your kids, and then you're gonna wonder why little Savage Johnny and Savage Freddy have just gone and kicked the shit out of their cousin, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, come on, think about this. It is a bit of responsibility, and it does lie with not the gaming companies. It lies with the parents. The game companies put all the labels and all the warnings they legally have to put on their games, and they don't hide the content. It's very, very clear, and it's very, very common sometimes to put in the game what the content actually is. So for parents to buy these and ignorantly go, "Here you go and play it,"
But it's so much easier to blame the game company than it is to point point the finger at yourself and look in the mirror and go,
Yep.
you know what? I'm a crappy parent.
Yeah, they don't want to admit that.
The scary thing is, though, is that a lot of these little minor crimes, like little Johnny steals his daddy's pickup and goes down the street. Where do you learn that? Oh, Xbox. You're like, what? Oh yeah, I learned how to steal a truck on Xbox, and that's not uncommon where kids do stuff, and it's from a video game because the parents aren't checking what they're purchasing. And it's, sometimes it's, I suppose it's easy just to go, oh, my kid's been an absolute nightmare. Buy him the game. Just buy him the game. It keeps him quiet. Cool. And I can understand that. But in doing so, you're actually creating more problems, more hassle, and potentially damaging the mind of your child. If you want to get really deep into it.
Games are just the medium, right? It's
yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like that's how they get their information, and that's how it is. But really, video games are nothing more than an alternate reality that it's no different to me than reading a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't.
It's just a visual stimulation instead of
instead of using the imagination
or watching a movie or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's
scapegoat.
But enough. All right, I don't want to get too much into parent bashing.
You started this.
I know I did, but now I'm stopping it.
We're talking about Forza 4, and now we're talking about the society of bringing children into the planet and how we should actually babysit them ourselves rather than using an Xbox. So don't you have a go, Pascal? This is down to you, Gal. You start this one. Okay. Should we go back to Forza 4?
No, not really, but we have to talk about it at some point.
Well, you said you were going to talk about it.
So we got to talk about it because it's new.
Right.
It's out there. It has to do with racing, and we're racing guys.
Yeah.
So, or as somebody we know put it, it's Disney for cars.
I'll kick this off, right? So, I'm glad you mentioned that. Right, I'm going to kick this off. Forza Horizon 4, obviously, the demo is out. And if you watch this podcast, listen to them, you know that me and Gal, Todd, are not big Forza fans. But we're really not. Now, I'm going to say something, right? This is not Forza Motorsport. This is Forza Horizon. There's a very, very slight difference, and it's only very, very slightly. This is not meant to be realistic. This is arcade. Okay, you know it's arcade.
This one's straight up arcade, yes.
Yeah, you know when you're jumping off a mountain in a Bugatti and you landed and not even breaking a wishbone, you know it's not real. It's not a sim. Okay, so Forza Horizon 4. Over 450 cars. Again, they've gone OTT with the cars. Obviously due 2nd October. Do you know what? I downloaded the trailer and I played the trailer.
You mean the demo?
Demo. And it's Forza Horizon. It's no different to any other one.
I enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, 4K. It looks absolutely stunning, amazing. The handling, the way the game plays, the way it's set up, it's exactly the same as every other Forza Horizon. There's no change. They might have polished it up a bit and done some graphical changes, but essentially it's just the same game. Now, for I don't want to name him, a mutual friend of mine, right, Gas, made a comment about how disappointed he was. Right, that it wasn't, I suppose, realistic. However, this is coming from a Forza fanboy. Now, you can't buy these games and expect them to be real. They are meant to visually stimulate you, to have fun, and not get serious. And they've done a really good job. I think it will totally outsell its predecessor, for Horizon 3, without a shadow of a doubt. It's nice to see they've based it in the UK. And what was quite cool, actually, when I watched the trailer, I recognised some sort of, it's got Edinburgh. It's got Princess Street in Edinburgh. I used to live in Edinburgh. And I was like, was that Edinburgh? So I had to rewind it and watch it again. I was like, that's Edinburgh, that's crazy. Not that you'd be able to go that fast along there because there's too many bloody trams. But without a shadow of a doubt. And it's not the worst. It's not the worst Forza I've seen, put it that way.
No, and as like I said, I can enjoy Forza Horizon for what it is, and as the expression that we steal from Sean Cole is, it's a distraction game. It's one of those games where you can just sign on with a bunch of friends and have fun, and you don't have to take it serious, because that's not what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be fun, and I can enjoy it for that. Because there's actually some stuff that I was enjoying doing when I was playing the demo, and one of them was the dirt racing. It wasn't dirt rally racing or rally cross racing, but it was fun. Having to hit the gates and stuff like that, and some of it is, again, yes. If you haven't played the demo, then I'm about to give you a spoiler alert. In the demo, you do a stunt where you pull off jumping a Bugatti through a windmill and landing from about 200 feet in the air, and it's still drivable.
Yeah. See, the first time I done it, right, I obviously went too far left, and it's like just going sideways at 170 through the air. I'm thinking, I'm going to land this. And I did. I landed it, but I was too short, so I had to do it again. But yeah, it's Forza Horizon, man. It is what it is. Don't take it too seriously. It's meant to be a laugh.
Now, Brandon, what do you think of a game like Forza Horizon?
I think Horizon's great, but then again, I'm not thinking about it from the aspect of it's a sim title. It is what it is. Horizon is Horizon. I don't even call it Forza Horizon because it's not Forza to me. I think it's just when they tack the name on something and it's a totally separate thing just to get that association.
But it's not even made by
title.
Turn 10.
Exactly, and I think they borrowed a lot of the digital content that Turn 10 had created, and a lot of their tools as far as the cars and how they design them and the models and that sort of stuff. But I think that's where the similarities end. So it may have some of, God, I don't even know anymore. I haven't played one since I think not this last one, but the one before that. So I don't even know physics wise how comparable they are, but
it's not far off.
Yeah,
it's not far off Forza Motorsport, but
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
so it's entertainment. It is what it
Yeah.
is, and I don't
like
know if it's
Wreckfest
drawing
is.
criticism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wreckfest, for what it is very entertaining, super fun to play. But when the cars get all smashed up, is it simulation? No.
No.
But is it an absolute blast and a great way to spend a couple hours with your buddies? Oh, without a doubt.
Yes.
Horizon's the same way. So, um, as far as it changing or them introducing a bunch of new things, or yeah, they're not going to change the recipe. If they have something that sells millions of copies and it's successful, they're not going to change it. It is what it is. It's a car collecting game, and go see a
Yeah.
pretty new part of the world.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not a bad product. That's the thing. It isn't a bad product. It's, if anything, it's a very good product for what it is.
Yeah, and I can enjoy it for that. And I don't have anything against the Horizon, the Horizon franchise itself. I actually like the Horizon franchise because I play it exactly for what it is. It's an arcade racing game on the same levels of Need for Speed or one of those type of games. The
Exactly.
Crew and stuff like that. So that's what those games are about. When I do things and I make certain bad mouthing comments about a Forza title, I'm talking about the motorsports, because at that point I am talking about racing. I am talking about actual track racing, and something as to where Forza is misrepresented a lot of times by a lot of people for being one of the best sims, blah 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 blah, and that's where it gets annoying. No, I've never really never really heard or engaged with anybody who ever tried to misrepresent what Horizon was at all, because everybody pretty much knows what it is. And I don't downplay Forza Motorsports as being a horrible game. It's not. It's not a horrible game. It's a decent game but as long as you accept it for what it is, it's not at the same levels as what you would get with a game like Assetto Corsa or Race Room, or even Project Cars. And then in some aspects, Project Cars doesn't even live up to the sim racing community's level of qualifying as a sim. So it's half a dozen, 600 and a half of another.
Yeah. Well, when
Love
you
your
paint
math.
Horizon in that light of, grid, or not grid, I apologize, like Need for Speed or any of those titles, the kind of free play games, it's actually, when you stack it up against those, it's really good, like really good. I think it surpasses those.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna get into that, Heiko. Don't worry.
Airport Madness is a terrible aircraft simulator. Duh. What?
Yeah, duh. It's a game, same as Horizon. That she's making a point. The people would thinking you're getting an airport simulator. Blah blah blah.
I
blah.
call it a sheep chase.
She's making an analogy type thing,
Yes.
type of point.
Oh no, I understand this, mate. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just helping on because I know how sometimes intellectually stunted you are.
It's because I'm here.
Oh no, he's just that way.
No, it's not that at all.
He's from Scotland. What do you want?
It's not.
They
Really?
still throw telephone poles as part of their Olympic games, so caber tossing.
Yes, we do. We toss cabers. Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna.
I flustered him.
I felt a rant going on there. I felt myself just boiling up. I thought it's rant time, but no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to be a grown up. I'm
You're gonna be a
gonna,
grown up for a
road.
change.
I'm going to remain above you on this one.
Taking the moral high ground here.
It's killing him too.
No, it's not.
You people can't hear him, but I can see him because he's on video.
All red in the face.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No.
So anyway,
No.
so in my humble opinion,
Humble.
humble, Forza Horizon 4 actually gets a thumbs up for me, and I may even actually consider picking it up.
It's
on sale.
Yeah. In about 2 years. Yeah. No. Yeah. I give it a thumbs up. I think it's
quite fun.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
and the whole new seasons aspect that we're now, and I don't understand where this is coming from, because Project Cars did it too, or Project Cars 2 did it also. But it's like, I don't see what the people's big deal is about driving in snow and all this other stuff.
I think it's not. I don't think so much for the driving aspect. I think it's the visuals, because obviously Horizon is about the visuals, it is about the cinematics, which are second to none. But for me, if you'd say Forza, but what's the game you'd recommend? I would never recommend a Forza Motorsports. I would always recommend Horizon, because they are fun. They're just you can't load up Horizon.
That would depend on
take it
what they're
seriously.
looking for in a game.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
suppose,
granted, I would never recommend Forza Motorsports as something people should look at when it comes to wanting something for serious racing. I would point them towards Assetto Corsa or Project Car. No, of course, I'm talking about console, because we know console, only has one real sim title in it, and it's when it comes to what's actually considered a sim. But it does have some decent sim quality games, and whether F1 2018, Project Cars 2, and Assetto Corsa. And that's it. Well, and that right there is something we're going to get into later, because it's another reason why I brought Brandon in here, to talk about something. After we get into the next one, we're going to talk about, which was big news for a long time. It's finally released into its early access, and it's got mixed reviews. It's still no word about a console release.
Yes, but can we just establish that, right? There is nothing, zilch. But on saying that, Jeremy Roost actually found I'll try and get the link of him. He found a link to a interview from the guys responsible for ACC, and they have some sort of press release to say that they've got no plans to release it on console unless the CPU can keep up with the PC. I need to find out where he actually got the article from, because I thought, well, if that article's out, then that would have been published everywhere. So I need to find out where he actually got it from.
Okay, and I'll address that. And I think Brandon could too. I don't see why that would be an issue, because I have seen nothing of this game in Assetto Corsa Competizione. I've seen nothing that this game would overpower a console with, other than it having absolutely beautiful rain graphics. It's better than what I've seen in both Forza and Project Cars. It was absolutely beautiful, but when you turn the rain off and you're just a normal, it didn't impress me at all. The game did not impress me. I was expecting something better than what normal AC looks like, and I didn't feel that driving this game.
Hey, Dave.
What about you, Brandon?
I wasn't expecting to be absolutely floored. And if it was the final release, I would say, oh yeah, maybe it should have been more. But at the same time, it's early. So I'm not going to say that, oh yeah, I should be jaw dropped the whole time. I mean, it's so early.
It's the first drop, isn't it?
Yes,
So
yeah, exactly. So I don't know how many, alphas or betas that I've been in that you look at the game and you're like, wow, this looks terrible. But then by the time it comes out, they've, finalized their optimizations and all that stuff as far as graphically, then you're like, okay, this is what I was expecting. And some of the video and the trailers and teasers that we've seen lead me to believe that there's more there that just hasn't come yet.
So I mean, that's the visuals, but as in playability, I mean, obviously I watched your stream, Gal, um, and you had some issues with was it the time model or just the general handling? What was
No,
you
I
had
was
sort
having. A lot of guys had issues with recognizing their sim equipment, whether it be the wheels or pedals. I was having trouble with it recognizing my pedals properly, but I did get that sorted out.
I had trouble with that initially also, and I finally got all my stuff sorted out. I've got a friend of mine that got into sim racing. He's got a TX on a very nice PC, and it will not see his wheel at all. It will not see his Thrustmaster TX. I use a T300. It finally got to see mine, and he's got regular Fanatic V3 pedals, and I've got the inverteds. And for some reason, it will not see either pieces of his equipment. So,
yeah, I got the V3s also.
Is that just glitches with the programming because it's it is the very first drop, and obviously this how the test to make sure it's working, isn't it? So it is going to be a case of where there's going to be massive inconsistencies with connections and experience. Is that to be expected with the first drop? I mean the program's 6 months long, isn't it? The early access. So is that not to be expected?
Sometimes, even full release games, it's not uncommon to where there might be a glitch or something to where your equipment's not recognized. I mean, hell, even some of the games that we had that are out now, people still have problems with stuff seeing their equipment, especially when you don't on PC a lot. We won't run same pedals or as wheels. A lot of guys will mix and match. Like they'll run a Thrustmaster wheel and Fanatic pedals, or the high-end Husenfelds, or excuse me, HPPs.
OSW guys,
yeah, and then you have OSW direct drive wheels. So it's a lot of mix and match. As to where in a console, basically what you're doing is you're buying a wheel and you need to buy a matching pedal set to plug into the wheelbase. Because there is no option to do it separately on a console. On a PC, you do not have to run your pedals into the base of the equipment, and we can run them separately, same as the shifters and so forth. So on console, everything's controlled through the wheelbase.
Well, through one USB port, yeah.
Yeah, so you only need the one. You got everything being run through there. PCs, we basically hook everything up separately, and a lot of guys, a lot of companies will, especially on the first go around, they may forget certain products. Would that be right to say, Brandon? They'll forget that certain products are out there.
I don't know if it's that, or if even, let's use, since I'm referring to a Thrustmaster issue here, two Thrustmaster products,
which I find weird, by the way.
Different. So, maybe there's something in the actual engineering side of the products that has to be overcome, and that's what something like this is good for. The fact that I can go, hey, my T300 works, but his TX doesn't, and Kunos can look at that and get it all hashed out before, in the next 6 months when it actually does come out, or when the actual release date comes, that finished product is complete, and so it takes their testing department load goes way down because it uses the community to develop it, and I think that's a great thing.
I think you got a lot of people who, whether it be with the betas, I mean, like the game that guys didn't like, Battlefield 5, that's all the last time I say it, but the beta has been getting absolutely smashed. Now again, it's an early access game, so whether it be ACC or Battlefield 5 or whatever game you're playing, if it's a beta or it's early access, I don't understand why people don't get the fact that it's not the finished product. there is going to be glitches, there is going to be problems, it isn't going to run perfect, and that's the whole point of letting you play it at the early access. So like Brian says, the community can identify all the issues to help the developer release that the community is going to be happy with. But people just don't get it. I don't understand the mentality of people going, oh yeah, well this is a crap game.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first drop.
I mean, look,
there's another five drops to come. Be patient.
That was a funny aspect of a game like PUBG. A lot of guys you go into a forum or something like that with guys talking about games, and they talk about PUBG, and then you get those 2 or 3 guys that sit there and say, you know, that's just ridiculous. To, you know, you telling people that you know they paid money for this game, and it's ridiculous that you're paying money for unfinished games. It's early access, people. It's not a fully released product. What part of
if it says,
do you got?
Even if it says game preview, yeah, even if it says game preview, you know.
Here's my point of the whole thing too, is that yeah, it's unfinished, and if you remove the entitlement of, oh well, this should be completely playable with every single piece of hardware that's out there on every single piece of equipment that's out there, that everybody should be able to have the same experience. If you remove that mindset out of it and you go, listen, I'm getting in early on this, and I am paying a significantly reduced price for what will eventually be a full game. I mean, in the US we paid $25 for something that's going to be $50 or $60. I think that's a great value, and you're helping shape this product into something that you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're part of the early access on the betas, you are actively developing that game with the people responsible for it. Mm-hmm. So instead of going in and complaining and I suppose taking your anger out of the people developing the game, just think you're part of that development. So if you're going to go on and rant and rave and be completely negative, you're not having any.
At least be productive with it.
Exactly.
Constructive
productive critique. Yeah, exactly.
Bitch to the right people, not bitch to other gamers who have nothing to do with the development of the game.
Yeah, and I think it's too quick. It's too quick for anybody anymore to grab the pitchforks and the torches and start rattling their sabers and going,
on a BF5,
burn it down.
Yeah, on Battlefield 5 on the beta, on the screen, there's a big, huge disclaimer that tells you that the game may crash, may glitch, it may not work at all, it might not load, blah, blah, blah. And it also tells you that they will not support, there's no customer support for any complaints of it, because it is
a beta,
an unfinished product. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They shouldn't have to put these disclaimers on. People just need to think what you're playing. Is it a full game? No. It's half a game. Well, it's not half a game, it's a little teaser. Oh yeah, but it should work perfectly.
I think when it comes to ACC, I think I was kind of more taking it back as to, okay, this is what the game, and I'm like, it's it doesn't really. I can see, okay, there's more leaves in the trees. The trees look better. The people look better. Okay, the guys waving the flags, the caution flags, and all that other stuff. Those look better. But as far as the track itself and so forth, I wasn't really getting an upgraded feel like you thought you were going to get with this game. But then when I turned on the rain, I was blown away. I was like, wow. I'm like, this looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's early access, but to have that type of reaction to the rain aspect, it's like, then why was the standard racing graphics why was it just so blah? And I'm not saying that's what it's going to look like. I'm hoping they're still going to be, tweaking that aspect of it, because, I don't feel it's a huge improvement over AC with this.
I mean, in addition to that, this is the first AC. Do you know what I mean?
And no, we don't, because we didn't hear you because you froze.
Okay, this is the first AC game with rain, yes. So it's not going to be perfect first time. Nothing's ever perfect first time, apart from when I was born. My mum said it was perfect, but nothing's ever perfect first time.
She was a heavy drinker.
Up until then, and then she's like, "Oh, that's what got me into this trouble in the first place." I'm done.
His birth sobered her up.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never
he
seen-
was
I've
a
never seen my
Christmas
mum
miracle.
surrender
He
the
was
Tropic
born
Cat.
on Christmas Day.
No, I agree with you, CJ. You know, it takes refinement. It takes time. They're going to a brand new engine. There's a learning curve there. As far as, you know, being blown over by the track itself, you can see visual things that are definite improvements. As far as the track, you know, I don't know. I could definitely see a difference when I turn everything up and I just totally, you know, tank my frames per second. But when I turn everything up and I look at the textures like on the road surface and some of the light effects and stuff, it's there is a difference over AC, absolutely.
It's coming leaps and
I
bounds.
want to make a disclaimer
Same-
right here. Brandon's a VR racer. So he's coming from the aspect of looking at things through the VR, which is another reason why I wanted him as part of this discussion, because he brings a whole other aspect we don't know about.
To a screen racer, yeah.
Which unfortunately I don't have that opportunity just yet. It is coming. I am super excited.
Right.
But yeah, as far as on the screen, you know, just on a flat screen, for me, I can see things because once it's in VR, that will all go away, right? Because then I'm dealing with the limitations of the VR headset.
Right.
So all that candy won't really matter. But I do see a difference now. Is it a huge difference? No, it's not. I mean, it's better. But then again, it's a track. You know, I don't know. I've seen tracks. You know, I've seen this particular track, Nürburgring GP, on pretty much every sim or race title I've ever played, and I think it's on par with the best of them.
Really?
And sometimes it doesn't take a massive graphical upgrade to make that change very, very significant. Sometimes it's just that fine little tweak can make something go from that looks alright to that looks actually stunning. Just that final, little just tweak of you've got it.
Yeah.
Don't mess
light
around.
effects,
Don't go too much. Just a little bit.
This is where I kind of sit there and go, well, why can't this be done? And you look now, you have this new title come out. Now it's been a while since we've actually gotten a new a real sim title on PC, because they've all been out for a while now. We don't get new ones every year on PC like they do on consoles when it comes to racing titles and so forth. So this is, I mean, other than the F1 games, which are made for console, they're just ported to PC. So I mean, they still get a bad rep on PC. This is actually, I'm trying to think, this is really the first real sim title in a while, correct, Brandon?
Yeah, off the top of my head that I can think of.
Yeah, so now we're sitting here and I look at it and I think to myself going, I can see what Turn 10 has done with Forza. There's beautiful graphics, horrible physics. Does that play a role? I mean, do you actually have to lose physics to have those graphics?
Do you know, maybe it's just a case of that, because it's been so long overdue, that they're looking at, I suppose, the expansion of sim racers and what have you on console, and they're looking at what communities love, what's the big impact. The visuals are a big impact, but then look at the original Assetto Corsa. It's been out for some time, and is there only so much the modders can do? Is it time they need to take maybe a slightly different approach to the game to make it accessible to maybe not a different crowd, but try and bring in new fans of it? Is that another way of doing it? Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, when this releases, it releases a full package. There's no modding
officially. No,
there's not going to be modding support.
Yeah,
they won't deny modding, but they're not going to help support it.
So this is something different to the original. So are they trying to target a newer audience to get maybe new blood into it? I mean, there's obviously new PC gamers every day.
I don't know so much about that being with AC, because AC is one of your larger, most popular titles.
But you've got the people that are crossover from console to PC. Now, to go to say that Assetto Corsa now, it can be quite intimidating because you got all the, all right, you get the game, but you got all the, on the mods, you got to download the mods, blah blah blah.
That's
Whereas
not
if you cross
intimidating
over,
at all. AC is probably the easiest game
for
in the world
I'm
to
saying,
mod.
like for some people it may be,
No,
but
it's just a
if
matter
you're
of
if you're
clicking your mouse
crossing,
button.
yes. Right, for you, let me finish.
For
Right,
anybody.
for some people, right, who they're on a console because everything's super simple, and there's no confusion. They don't think about stuff. Going over to a PC, if they've got a title that's built for the PC, but kind of runs a little bit like a console title, then that's going to encourage people to make that jump as well. So I think it's about targeting just different audiences and try to pull in more people into it.
I think
and doing it in such a way that it's very accessible.
Most compare as a console title. I may be wrong. I mean, Brandon could tell me I'm full of shit because he's also a PC racer. But I think
you're full of shit.
John, I tell him that most weeks, mate. I do. Most weeks I'm like, "Gal, you are."
I'd have to say
shit.
the sim racing title that could be compared most easy as without all the modding support and all that stuff as a console title would be Race Room. And Race Room, of course, is my favorite title because of just the way the physics. But the Race Room is just you download the game, you start it up, and you just buy what you want and you race. That's all there is to Race Room.
I've been looking at it a hell of a lot, I gotta say.
It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, right, Brandon. I mean, Race Room has absolutely no modding whatsoever. It's it's probably your simplest title.
I would, yeah, it is pretty simple. It seems pretty straightforward. Even there's a lot of layers to that. You know what I mean? As far as how you draw those parallels.
I mean, it's difficult to set up triple screens, but other than that,
yeah, or VR. The last time I launched it, it bricked my VR and I had to reinstall my Oculus software to get it to work again. It was crazy, but yeah, I would say so. As far as it's somewhat limited in its UI, which I think makes it more approachable like a console title. And then as far as the actual cars go themselves, they seem to be fairly level. They've done a good job at that, and it's pretty straightforward. Whereas other titles, you've got to do a ton of tuning, or there's cars that just, even if they're the same classification as cars, it doesn't matter. There's always a clear leader, even in some of the most elite of sim titles like excuse me, like iRacing. They're always constantly doing balance of power tweaks because there always seems to be something there, an approach that makes it to where a particular car is faster than the rest. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
We have a lot of that in the Project Cars 2 where car pack or a new class, or they add more cars to a certain class, and then you go run a season, a race, or just a race session. You got to go, right, well, you can't use that one. Well, why not? It's part of the same class. That one's OP. Yeah, but it's in the same class. I understand that. You can use these 5, but you can't use that one. Well, that's not fair. Yeah, but if you run that one, you're 20 miles an hour faster. You're going to be have the advantage. So,
you really need to fix your PC.
No, it's
I don't know. Ever since you moved to sitting in your rig, your PC freezes every now and then. You never had this problem before when you sat at the desk.
Because I'm using the laptop, mate. Don't worry, things are going to change, right?
I know. Brandon knows too, but he's not going to say anything.
Right, sod it. Sod it. So, for a while.
Oh, wait, do we have a major announcement coming?
Yeah, right, for a while.
Oh!
You're all right, mate.
Yeah.
For a while, I've been toying with the idea of getting a PC for gaming and what have you. And I've had massive pressure from 2 very close friends of mine, and who haven't really let it go. I get messages, I get voicemails, I get people knocking on my door, strangers stopping me in the street, asking me are you getting a fucking PC or what? Um, and a plan has been hatched. The plan is it's the ball has just started rolling. So probably within the next, I don't know, next few weeks, it's happening. It's definitely happening. I can say that, and if Dave's still in the chat, getting a PC, boys and girls, getting a PC.
Congratulations!
So I will be sim racing at some point.
Now, the question is: are you building or are you buying?
No, buying.
He's buying. I gave him specs
I've
to
done
look for, though.
loads of research. I'd actually contacted a guy who lives sort of localish to me, who builds them. He runs a shop in Edinburgh, and it was, it was decent enough. The only downside to it, the price was good. The only downside to it was the build wasn't VR compatible. So if I'm going to go to PC, I've got to have myself the opportunity that if I want to do VR, it's there, and I could get something of the same quality, actually slightly better, with VR support elsewhere. So I've sort of taken that option rather than the.
So technically, he's building, but he's buying it pre-built. He's buying it built. He's not buying like an off-the-shelf Dell, HP, blah blah blah. He's having it built.
This is built for.
Gotcha.
Now, there's a number of reasons behind it. One is when it comes to PCs, I don't know jack shit. I don't. I build it. I don't know. Where does that go? Does it fit in that little hole? No. Yeah, it does. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, you use USBs on console. You know what a USB is.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Easy. It's super simple to build
a he's paranoid about it because he hates to learn new things, to be honest with you.
I don't hate to learn new stuff. I just don't like listening to you. So does this mean I'm coming off console racing and gaming? No, it doesn't. Not at all. This is just a development in what I'm doing. I will never come off a console. That's a fact.
Famous last word.
No. I run the grid on Racing Club.
He has responsibilities, so.
I thoroughly enjoy what I do there. I've got a fantastic member base, and they will always be there from what they've done for me. So the Xbox and what have you will never go. This is just an extension to allow me to do something else at a level that's that I don't have on console. That's all it is. This is just an addition. I mean, it's actually. I've recently just redesigned the game into the man cave. So I've got my PS4, my Xbox One S, I've got a 360, original Xbox, I've got a PS2. I've got all these games and all the stuff that comes with it. I'm now going to get rid of all the stuff that I don't need because I'm going to rejiggle it. So I've got my PC, my Xbox, and PlayStation, and that's it. And get rid of all the clutter and stuff. So yeah, it's world exclusive. It is happening.
On behalf of the sim racing community, welcome to the dark side.
You're not the first person to call it that. It's,
Oh no.
Yeah. That's why I kind of made the joke about the console thing. That's obviously, like I explained earlier, that's where I started, was in a Forza league. PC racing kind of killed that league, and I have a brand new Xbox One X sitting in there that has collected more dust than it has playtime.
Yep.
See, for me, the PC, and I've said this before, when you said, if I ever get one, it's purely for sim racing.
Same as mine.
That's that's the reason. That's the reason behind it. It's when Gal start talking about set of course, and we've got this track and this track and do all this stuff, and there's so much missing off the the console content, and we can understand why it's missing off the console content because it can't support it. To have that on PC is just it is amazing. It really is. I've done nothing but watch YouTube videos and read up, and I really want to be part of that.
And to be honest with you, when it comes to the Assetto Corsa, and when I was saying how ridiculously easy it is to mod, and Brandon will back me up on it. It's as simple as you go into like a place like Race Department. It's a website where a lot of guys share mods and stuff like that. You download the mod, you get a zip file, you unzip it, And then you just simply open up your Assetto Corsa folder in your Steam apps folder, and you just place that into the folders, and you're done. And then you start up the game, and you're done. That's how insanely easy it is.
You know, I can see CJ's point of view where it can be intimidating, especially if someone's uncomfortable navigating PC file structures and stuff like that. And I'll say 95% of the time, it is that easy. There are occasions where you've got to take, font packs and put them in a different folder, and you've got to put, the car in this particular folder. And there's some of that nonsense. Now, that being said, if that's all too overwhelming for somebody, there's tools out there and mods out there that make this process even much simpler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Content
even
manager.
if you're on Steam, like you have games like R Factor 2. There's a thing called Steam Workshop. Okay, people can put their mods on the Steam Workshop for that game. So then all you have to do is you go into the Steam Workshop, and you're like, oh, that looks like a cool mod, and you just click the subscribe button to that mod, and Steam will put it into the game for you. What was that?
Call of Nature, mate.
Oh. It's the drinking. Told you not to drink.
Man, he got so excited talking about getting a PC, he had to pee.
So yeah, you heard it here first, folks. CJ will be getting a PC, and again, another thing he said he would never do. Yep, when he first he's done this a lot. He bought way back when the first Project Cars came out. He bought it, he hated it, he got rid of it, and then I started talking about moving out of Forza into a Project Cars leagues and setting that up, and he was like, no, the game sucked, blah blah blah. I was like, no, you gotta. And then I'd sit there and I'd start having fun, and then finally he bought the game again, and he ended up absolutely falling in love with the game. He did the same thing with Assetto Corsa. He badmouthed Assetto Corsa when it first came out on console. He eventually rebought it again, and now he runs leagues and everything else through his grid community with Assetto Corsa. So he has a long history of saying he'll never do something or he hates something and then going down the road and redoing it.
This is good timing, and I come back in, you're talking shit about me.
I'm not talking shit. I'm talking truth.
It's not a history. Right. Let's see. Project Cars. I said Project Cars.
Assetto Corsa. You absolutely hated and badmouthed that game when it first came out.
I did actually. No, I did. Because I went to 6 shops on the day of release. I went to 6 shops and nobody had it. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? And I eventually got it home, played it for half an hour. Thought it was dog shit. Put a rant on YouTube on my channel saying how crap it was and don't buy it.
Its
6 months later, I buy it.
It was horrible.
It
was horrible on console
to begin with. At the time. So yeah, but yeah, it's not history.
Yeah. And you've also said you will never go to PC.
I never said I will never.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Did not.
I wish I had the actually. Wait a minute. I think I can look back through our old podcasts, and you have said it on the podcasts.
Never. Prove it.
Oh, next week there will be proof that CJ said he will never go to PC gaming.
Oh man,
mate, yes. You've got 39 podcasts to fucking search through, and there's hours of it.
Which, by the way, congratulations, folks. This is the big 4-0 for us.
We're over 40.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, I feel nauseous.
One more to go before we go on a hiatus for my winter job.
For everybody in the UK, he's going on a break. He's going on a break.
Yeah. If you ask CJ, I'm going out on the road to kill hookers.
Deep fried pizza, Kimber. That's a thing.
Deep fried pizza.
Fried pizza.
They fry everything. That's
Who
insane.
said never eat deep fried pizza?
Deep fried pizza.
I think she's giving you a hard time.
Wait a minute. Deep fried pizza. Aren't those Totino's pizza rolls?
I don't know,
Kimber,
but the concept sounds delicious.
Who will never eat deep fried pizza? Gally or me?
Probably
Brandon.
you.
I'm assuming you, since the topic was that saying things you said you'd never do, but
he does anyway.
When it came down to it, probably would.
We read something about what? Frozen pizza. What are you talking about? Oh my god. Okay. CJ,
Yeah.
I've never mentioned pizza. What are you on about?
Yeah, see, you got to explain things on a
See,
simple
this is what
aspect to
happens
him,
when you
Kimber.
drink during the day.
More detail.
Don't drink during the day. Okay?
Yeah.
Why would anybody eat frozen pizza? So I think someone's off their meds. I don't know.
Yeah, you.
Yeah. I've never said that. I would never go.
Just never mind the chat. You just. We'll...
I've never said that.
So overall, Brandon, and I won't ask you, CJ, because you haven't been able to play it yet. But what is your, as it stands right now, what is your takeaway of ACC?
I would say for ACC, I think it is excellent for a beta.
I hate the card they gave us.
Yeah.
The Lambo or something they gave you.
Yeah, it's Lambo. Here's the deal. I find the characteristics that the Lambo has in ACC are the same things that I find with all GT3 cars and pretty much every title I've ever tried. That most GT3 stuff seems to lack a little bit of personality, and it's just the way the cars are designed, the way they're set up with the amount of aero and the electronic assists. You can really kind of numb the feeling of the car.
Do you think that's done intentionally to try and sort of even the field so it's closer racing?
Exactly. Yep. And that's the product of the class, and
that's
for close
probably
racing.
One of the things that make it most popular, because it is the racing that is a lot more competitive because of that, because there's so close racing in that series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as far as ACC is concerned, the things that I see that are different in it versus the regular Assetto Corsa, the visuals, a lot of the atmosphere visuals that it was lacking, say, over like Project Cars 2, which I think is a beautiful game. But I find it lacking as far as content. I think it's added some of those aspects as far as lighting effects. Like the night racing, when you're night racing, you'll pass a light on the side of the track that's lighting up the actual track surface. It reflects off the dash and the atmosphere lights in the car. I mean, it's beautiful as far as that's concerned.
So I'm looking forward to night racing in a sale. Again, we've not had that on the console either. So
yeah, it's fantastic. It definitely added some things to the franchise that it was lacking. As far as it being a narrower focus game, with it being the Blancpain tie-in, a lot of people have complained about that, and you have to look back and go, okay, I remember the days when that's all racing games were. It was a NASCAR title, or it was an IndyCar title, or even now with F1.
Formula Ones, yeah.
Yeah, or rally games. They're focused because they need to be, to make it all encompassing for that particular thing. And I think games, for me personally, when they fail, is something like Project Cars, when you've got this small development house and they try and do everything, and it's rally racing and snow and weather and day-night transitions and every single type of racing under the sun. I'm surprised they don't have lawnmowers in there, or wheelchair racing. It's too much.
There's a mod for it, probably.
No, the lawnmowers and wheelchair
not on
racing.
Project Cars. Yeah.
No, the lawnmowers and the wheelchair racing, that's coming out in Redneck Horizon.
When you say a small development house, and that is a lot of the reasons why Kunos relied so heavily on the modding community, because they could have them do and which is what I mean. More than half that game is modding.
I mean, I think when it comes to Brandon was talking about all the different classes in Project Cars 2, and we've touched on this, is that the more
how did we get on
classes...
Project Cars 2?
No, because Brandon was talking about This is where when you have so many classes, so many cars, you dilute the experience you get with each individual vehicle or class that's in that game. So with ACC,
no game even brings out all the cars for those classes either, and that's another thing.
So where ACC is just GT3, their focus field is like this, whereas in Project Cars 2, the focus field that they've got is like this.
Yeah,
and that can be a good thing, but it's also a bad thing.
Yeah. If you think about it too, I mean, right now GT3 racing seems to be the most popular in all of sim racing right?
Yeah.
It's that way on Assetto. It's that way on iRacing.
It's
It
pretty
seems
close in
to
real
be.
life too. I
Yeah,
think
and
the
in
only thing
real
more
life too, it's
popular
real
is
popular.
F1.
So if you compare it and you look at it, if they're going to set a target out there to go for, this is probably the best choice they could have made. Because if you want to complete, and hopefully this holds true, but if you want a complete GT3 racing experience, hopefully
Yeah,
this
they
is
will
where
hook
you
'em.
go.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is
We needed a
the
focused game.
answer.
We
We did.
definitely needed a focus game because there was just too many, R Factor, Race Room, Project Cars 2, the original Assetto Corsa. They're all a wide focused game. We needed a new focused game on something that wasn't just, F1 or something like that. So I think this is good. And to be honest with you, I wish they'd bring something back like Toka. So give us something focused on the
Toka
touring.
Yeah,
franchise.
we've said this as well.
Love Toka.
There needs to be a new touring car game because the last one out was PS2, and that was Toka 2. There hasn't been a dedicated touring car game since.
No.
And I don't know why, because it is absolutely massive. I mean, yeah, obviously Project Cars, they give you a little selection of touring cars, but there's so many that's missing. So many cars that are missing.
I think Race Room's new addition, bringing in the touring cars. And I was surprised they gave so many choices for it to begin with. And I think there were 7 new cars added to the WRTC or WTRC, whatever it is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
British Touring Car Champion.
Yeah.
So
they gave us a decent amount, and so they're not getting ignored, but I don't know. I'd like more focused games to choose from too, not just wide variety games. That's just my opinion.
I totally agree with that, and I would even be welcome to expansions on what ACC is doing. So if they attack GT3 right now, there's so many different genres of racing that I would love to do and have it done properly. That I would, if they came out and said, hey, here's, another 40 or $50 and we're going to do, this Formula Championship or these other types of cars, Trans Am, whatever it is.
It have to be the complete championship with it.
Exactly.
So like Black Planet, like ACC is like the complete GT3. We're going to add cars, but don't just add cars for the sake of adding cars. Don't just add a couple of tracks as is, but here we go, just to make you feel better. Give us the full package. If it's the full package, people are going to want to, purchase it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like games that have that broad spectrum, Project Cars, a prime example, and even Forza. It's not about the focus. It's about sales. They know, right? Here we go. You've got all that to play with. Cool, I'll buy it. Because 9 times out of 10, I mean, I'm guilty of this. There's a lot of classes on Project Cars I won't even touch.
No.
I mean, within the club, we are trying to make sure we're getting through every single class. We're getting there. There's no few we haven't done. Give people, the best that the game's got. But there are some classes you think, this is not very raceable. Why is it even there? Forza's bad for this, but obviously you take your little mini Metro, you tune it up so it's next to Bugatti, and off you go. Project Cars 2, you can't really do that.
Well, it all boils down to money,
Yeah.
So
licensing,
it's the
money,
same thing with this.
sales,
It's the F1 games. They're going after that large audience, And there's almost in sim racing, to me, there's almost 2 different, call it a subgenre or whatever you want, but you've got the Forza and the Gran Turismos that are the car collecting games, right? And you go, hey, let's take a most recent example that I used. I was looking at a Chevy pickup, and I was like, that's, I've got Forza 7, hated it, sucks that I spent $100 on it, but they came out with, boys bought the gold edition or whatever, but I looked at it and they had, I was looking at this Chevy pickup, exactly, and lo and behold, they had an off-road 4-wheel drive Chevy pickup in this game, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, does it belong in a true racing title? Probably not. Then you have the focus games that are on the other hand that should offer a complete experience and go, okay, you're going to get all of the cars in this class for this series. It's going to have all the branding. You're going to have all the tracks, and here's this complete thing. And that, to me, is a product worth buying if it's done well.
Right. But in the same aspect, I can talk about, but I can say that I do appreciate the wide focused games as well too, because I mean, look at
They're
Automobilista. Okay, Automobilista, a very underrated game to me, still one of the best out there, but it gives us more of a focus on a lot of stuff that isn't even included in any other game. I mean, there's no other game to where we can do super trucks, right?
See, I would like to see that in.
I want a Stadium Super Trucks game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Desperately.
But you can do that in Automobilista because they have
Yeah.
the super trucks, they have the tracks, and so you can do that on an Automobilista, which you can't. So, and unfortunately, a lot of people, they just like, oh well, Automobilista doesn't support VR, so blah blah blah, blah. That's a no go, and it's like okay, and of course it's at end of cycle because hopefully next year we're going to start seeing their new title to replace it. Now, as far as the Reza DLC that's supposed to be going to R Factor, I'm not even sure the super trucks are part of that. So it'd be nice because then once Automobilista really starts to wind down, if we can have them on R Factor 2 with that new DLC from Reza, that would be a great thing because R Factor 2 is making a lot of leaps and bounds now with including the day-night cycles, the rains and stuff like that. So they're trying to move into today's age of competing with these games that are bringing these awesome graphics.
See, something that I don't think we need to discuss this. And it comes up a lot in when we're doing grid events. We have a lot of like hardcore motorsport fans. I mean, people have been following it for years. They know the ins and outs of everything. And when we're racing, you get like the odd sort of trivia and history gets thrown down the party when we're on a track or something. It's really interesting, really is. One thing is liveries. Now, PC2 dropped in a whole lot of liveries for Ferrari 458, and it's all the official liveries for the cars. It's just a shame that no one's really interested in that car. They're not at all. They're not. And I think if development studios or whatever are going to be so focused on getting, say, the licenses for all these certain cars, for all these certain tracks and what have you, with that should come the official liveries for those seasons, because I know some hardcore people, they have their favourite liveries, and I think that would it's not a big deal. It's not a big ask. Right? Can we get the official liveries? You've taken us this far. Just go that little half a step further. Give us the official liveries, and that give us the full immersion of the series, the class, the championship, whatever we're running. Because there's nothing worse than getting a crappy stock. I mean, like Project Cars 1. You had the Mercedes C Coupe, the DTM, right? Fantastic car, but because there was no license for the liveries, they had these silly, just different colours on the cars, and it kind of ruined it. Ruined the experience because they're fantastic to drive. I think that's something that's missing from some titles. I don't know about the PCs. I don't know if you guys get the official liveries, but on console, it's very kind of hit and miss.
PC and a lot of your games, you can download the templates, and if you're any good with things like GIMP or Photoshop or programs that, you can paint your own cars. Which in the Simpit we have a phenomenal painter in Stan Donnett who makes some incredible paint jobs for the crew when it comes to ACC. He's actually started doing some iRacing stuff, but actually Joa does iRacing trucks also. So
yeah, Joe's a great painter.
Yeah.
So also,
he actually does Billy Strange truck.
So while we're talking about liveries, I think we should give a shout out to Raymond Doherty from GLC.
Raymond is probably the best Forza painter I have ever seen. That guy can do incredible things with it.
Raymond's the guy who'll make a design for one side of your car, and then because obviously the way Forza does it, he'll then have to hand make that from scratch for your opposite side of the car, and he will do both, and they're identical.
Yeah, he can.
And the thing is, it doesn't take him that long.
Painter. And
it doesn't take him that long. It's like, what? He's probably got hundreds, if not thousands, of stuff on the Forza stores now. And he's second to none of this stuff. Honestly, I told me we should charge for it. No, honestly, Brandon, if you're on any of the Forzas, load it up and just go into the livery stores just for the sake of it, and just type in Big Ramy and see some of the stuff he's done. And it's honestly, you'd think it was official stuff that'd been released by the game. It's phenomenal, some of the stuff he's done.
Really, I'll have to check it out, because that kind of touches a soft spot for me, because back in the day, and Kimber just said in chat, but I actually used to do paint jobs in Forza, I would actually post them on eBay and sell them on eBay
Wow.
for money. I ended up getting in trouble, but yeah. And this
We
was
have a
back when we
criminal
had the
amongst
auction
us.
house, the auction house, and all that stuff. But yeah, I sold some Forza paint jobs on eBay back in the day. So
Some of Remy's stuff is
Yeah,
some amazing
blows you
stuff.
away.
he's the Stan Donnet of the GLC when it comes to Forza painting.
Nice.
I things you ask me to do something, you go, oh, maybe a bit difficult. And like, a day later, oh, it's just there, mate. Well, you've done it. Yeah, it was easy.
Well,
Easy.
I give Ramey,
It was that easy.
I give Ramey a lot of credit when it comes to stuff, because to where Stan on the PC games can do things like just use JPEG images or PNG images or whatever, Ramey actually has to recreate them all by hand, because you can't do that on Forza. So when Ramey does it, he's recreating everything by hand.
Yeah, you got to almost think backwards of when you're actually layering it up, and it's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of layers. You think, how are you keeping track of it?
And he just does it like second nature. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
I misspelled his name again. I cannot spell Big Ramey's name at all, can I? My God.
Bigrayymi.
There we go.
Ramey.
That's his name. My God, I'm freaking.
Just want to check. How long have you known this guy?
I'm keyboard dyslexic today.
Todd, how long have you known Rames?
How long is freaking GLC?
Yeah, exactly. Way too long. Right?
What, 5
3 attempts
years?
to get his name. That's ridiculous.
I know. I'm sorry, Ramey.
Is your hat too tight?
But anyway,
Shut down.
Yeah, so if you're on Forza, check out Big Ramey's paint jobs. He's usually got a few on the storefronts. Yeah, okay.
The grid logo's even there.
That's another thing that's a shame, though.
The original one.
Is now that GT Sport allows for painting cars now too, that's something that is really missing when it comes to the Assetto Corsas and Project Cars on console. Is while guys can download the templates for the cars and recreate their own paint jobs, that's just something you can't do on console.
In some respects, I like the fact that Project Cars doesn't have that Forza option of painting your cars, because let's be honest, sometimes some people just paint the cars and you go, they're just like doing looks stupid. Really?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, you got a penis in the back of your car. Bet you're gonna make your mother proud. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's funny, but I don't know. If you're gonna
Clymer's mom would be proud.
It needs to look good. It really, really does.
At the Sim Pit joke. So
there were some beautiful liveries we managed to use for when we done the what was it? Was it Independence Day? We done that thing we done on GLC in Forza 6. Remember that? Memorial Day. Yeah.
We had everybody do some type of an American flag or an American symbol for their race cars, and we did a whole parade race on
video of it
for Memorial Day to salute Memorial Day. We did that a couple of years ago, or a few years ago.
Yeah. A few years ago, mate.
Yeah, so
definitely a few years ago.
But to your original point, CJ, yeah, I agree. If you're going to go all in with an official, sponsored game of a series, do the liveries. If I was the type of guy that wanted a NASCAR game, yeah, exactly. If I was the type of guy that wanted to do a NASCAR game, I would want to run as my favorite driver. If it's Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch or whoever, I would want to drive their car.
I mean, if anything, it's almost like free advertisement for the guys who've got their sponsors on the cars already. They've paid a fortune to have on the actual the real cars. Well, guess what, mate? Your logo, the little small company you just started up, your logo is now going to appear on every single copy of every single game. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. I mean, I've watched quite a amount of times I've been watching a game, and I'll see a brand on a car. I'm thinking, yeah, Viagra, I need that.
And I don't know if that starts getting into Confession Day for CJ. First we go from PC to Viagra.
No, I was trying to think of something smart, and I lost complete track, and I just thought, God, this is hard. Oh, Viagra. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bum.
But to get back to also readdress the whole expansion thing when it comes to ACC and talking about bringing other sports, but even if not sports but other series, if you're going to bring other series, like say they do a touring car expansion or they do a Group 5 expansion, or even if they did something to like decades of GT3 to where you could maybe do GT3 cars from
That's
the
a cool
90s,
idea.
something like that, you know? I would just prefer it if you're going to do that, don't allow them to mix. In other words, I don't want 90s GT3 cars racing with 2015, 16.
Sure.
I get that, yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So make it to where you have to, if you're going to race in that decade, everybody's got to be in that decade when it comes to the races. And, and then, you can start adding those tracks for those series because everybody knows that not every track there's tracks running in the 90s that aren't there anymore. And there's tracks that are there now that, of course, he's frozen again.
I
know.
There he is.
His impersonation of Heiko is uncanny.
Yeah, some of the tracks that are that we even use now are no longer even used. So
some of them don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, so So I think it'd be nice to sort of take back some of the older tracks, the older layouts, because sometimes you play some of the older layouts of tracks and you go, this is nice, this is different. But I do agree with the fact that you shouldn't be changing, you shouldn't be mixing old and new. If you're a sim title, don't do what Forza does. Remain sim, remain real, remain current. And
you can be sim, but if that's what your game's going to be about, like an AC or an R Factor, then that's fine. To where you can have multi-class racing, but even still to that point, there's still some restrictions on what you can actually run.
And to that point, Todd, the good thing about that is the fact that right now, so if you buy ACC right now for $25 or whatever, you get everything that's coming with the current development, which is all 2018 cars and 2018 tracks. They're also going to give you the 2019 season included in that.
Right.
So it'll be if there's any track changes or whatever the cars is, and hopefully the liveries also follow that or different vehicles that might come in. But that makes you kind of think that maybe it might not be that bad of a deal or that hard for them to model and say, okay, we're going to do a GT3, historics class. And I would be okay with them even running on the existing tracks because I've been to real life events, motorsports events before where they go, okay, you're here
classics.
for, they'll have kind of an exhibition race beforehand and say, okay, these are the old stuff. And then later on we'll run the current series that you're here for.
Oh, it makes sense going that way, but going the other way, you take the newer cars and the old trucks, then no.
If I was you, CJ, now that you're going to be making that move to PC,
I've got another confession.
What?
I'm not.
He's such a bullshit. I would jump on your Steam account and I would purchase the
I've already
ACC.
put a wish list on there on the Steam
Don't put it
account.
on the wish list. Actually buy it so that way you get it at the cheapest cost.
I will when I have funds. I will purchase stuff when I have funds.
When he has funds.
And when it comes to doing your PC conversion, and if you're talking about funds, the best thing to do is just rip the Band-Aid off, metaphorically. For the cost of a PC, what's another $25 for a game, if you're thinking about it?
Oh,
well, well, we do know he's
See, there's
now
a filter. I have a filter for my spending.
It's called a wife.
It's called a wife. Yeah, it's called a wife. Yeah. So yeah.
She says yes or no, and that's what he does. But he will have full race room content because I told him if he does make that move, I will purchase the full content of race room for him.
Huh?
So he will have that title.
Hey.
What?
Oh yeah. I told you I would gift you.
That?
I haven't gifted it to you yet. You don't have the PC yet.
Oh, no, duh.
But I will. But when you do finally
Did
get
you say
it,
that?
I will gift you the full premium content of Race Room.
Shouldn't
CJ,
be.
you should hold out, and look to give horse in the mouth and say, quit being such a cheap ass on Race Room and just pony up for everything on iRacing.
Yeah, that's more like a 600%
Do you know what?
hike in
Honestly,
price.
I didn't see that message. I've just gone
I
back.
sent it to you on WhatsApp when we were talking the
I
other day.
didn't see it, man. I didn't see it.
Yes, no, I will. Your birthday and Christmas, which are the same day, are
Thank
coming
you,
up.
mate.
So
That's awesome.
No, genuine, thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you. Embarrassment now. No, iRacing. Moving on. iRacing. No, I'm not interested at all. In the slightest by iRacing. I've looked at it, and no, no, I don't like the structure of it where you're forced into racing some shit car for X amount of time just so you can race the next one up. No, I'm not. And it's all money. iRacing is all money, and I don't like it. I really don't.
That's if you go with their structure. If you do private stuff, you can buy and race whatever you want.
I'll help you out here. This is totally a topic for another day.
Yeah, it's just iRacing is a whole another topic that I really don't want to get into. While it's good, yeah, but iRacing has this uncanny ability to suck people in too. So, if you still want to play on console, don't do iRacing.
Don't get into it.
As I said to you when we initially spoke about me making the move back then when it was a potential thing or it wasn't a thing at all, that is the hardest thing I'm going to have to do is the balance between doing stuff on PC and do stuff on the console, because
for you it's going to be easier.
The console is not something I'm coming away from. I've worked tirelessly with friends and admin team to get the club up and running and where it's at now, and it's
that's
where
what's going to make it easier for you to be able to do both. For me, there was no longer anything for me to really do on console, so when I went to PC, it was I don't need to be on console as much as I'd love to be. I mean, probably maybe I would have if we were in the same time zone. I probably might have still done some more stuff on console to race with you and the other guys in the game. But because I'm in a different time zone and I'm at work when you do 95% of your events, there was no point. So it's just like I couldn't make those races anyway, so there's no point for me worrying about console stuff.
The thing as well is
and I found a great home at the Sim Pit. So.
Yeah. The thing as well is it is the social side of it. Is that if let's say for example, and it's not going to happen to us, say that right? I go, I say Xbox, boom, PC, right? All my mates, 99.9% of them are all on console, and these are guys that are hardcore console. They're never going to go to PC, and I've got some great friends, and I wouldn't leave them behind. I know how hard it was for you when you decided to give up the racing on the console and then moved to the PC, and that's one of the things you said that you missed was that sort of camaraderie of the friendship and stuff. And you've got a bit of that back now that you're using your PC to do the Forza with the GFC boys.
Well, I get it from the Sim Pit. Joining the Sim Pit made that a lot easier. When I was just trying to do a lot of the stuff on my own, it was difficult. I was doing stuff, but then I really started getting involved with the Sim Pit, and in fact, it felt nice that Sean actually made a special announcement for me. We're hosting a special event, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday on the 24th. We're doing a special farewell race for me on iRacing because I'm going back out on the road and I won't be around for racing for a while. So we're doing an event to just for me for my last Monday Fun Day go around.
Is this just to make sure you go?
Brandon was helping. No, Brandon helped out getting it set up too, and I appreciate it. And it's just like we're doing the winged sprint cars on the dirt oval on iRacing. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, what I used to get out of GLC when we were part of GLC. And stuff like that, which I still have with the guys in GLC. I'm still
a member. I just, you know,
as much as I give these guys a hard time, and I sit there and talk about how shitty Forza is, I go back because I just love hanging out with my friends that I've been friends with for so many years. But you know, I also have that with the Sim Pit now too, and you know, with guys like Heiko, who's in our chat room, and Brandon, which I've gotten to know Brandon really well, and I can consider Brandon a friend. I've got guys, including Brandon, that are like, well, you're out on the road. If you're in my neck of the woods, you know, let me know. We'll do something, you know. And it's really nice to have that type of camaraderie and friendship when you're part of a community, and that's what you really need. That when you're in the sim racing community, guys who don't have that, they get lost a lot.
I just noticed Kim just said when everyone jumps ship, you don't go back unless you're playing Battlefield or something. Maybe in a sort of normal circumstance, Kimber. But the fact that I own and run a club, this guy says that, you know, I have responsibilities. I have friends there, so that's something that is definitely. I'd probably say if I didn't have the club, and
he's not really jumping ship, Kimber. He's
He's
expanding,
I'm expanding
because I mean, fuck it. I mean, just say it. The grid may possibly start a PC expansion because there are groups that are talking about it. You know, not groups, but there are members who are talking about also wanting to get into PC racing.
No, I mean, there are members who want to do PC stuff, and I may, you know, eventually bump into them doing the PC. But the grids at the moment, we've nothing to say that we're going on the PC.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's just something you could do down the road where you can expand into that, and you can make the grid even larger. I mean, you could. I mean, hell, you could be with the grid. You could be the next Apex Online, but with better drivers.
Who are they? I've heard of them. I don't know much about them.
I mean, you can literally do it. I mean, because that's what Apex does. Apex. I mean, even ESL does it. They do that. They are encompassing all the consoles. They encompass the PCs, and you've done a great job with the grid.
See, the danger.
And you can keep that. And I don't see a problem with you doing that expansion because you guys do such a great job with the grid.
I mean, I'm not seeing expansions happening. Just to be clear, it has been mentioned. Members are saying, "Oh, are you doing PC?" Blah blah. Because some of the people already do PC racing. They're asking what's happening with us. There's no plans for it happening, and there's slight danger. I used to be with a club before the grid.
Oh yeah, if you have no friends there, then yeah.
Before the grid kind of was born, it was born out of me being removed from a club because I was too bloody active, and I got accused of being
being the owner because he was so active.
I was literally, it was a club called Project Cars Clean Racing, which I've said this before, and the owner was from New Zealand or Australia. And the only time you see him on the page is when he was doing admin stuff and telling people off. But he wouldn't really race with anybody, very, very rarely, because of the time difference. So I was always active. I was running events and from blah, 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 and people thought I was the owner. So anyway, that club had started on Xbox. It then he then expanded it to PC. But there was no PC support because none of the admins were running on PC. So there's no PC support. So I had like 20-odd PC guys, no support for it. Then had loads of people saying PS4, so I expanded it to PS4. But the problem with PS4 is just they don't want to race with each other. They want to race, just not with each other. But the club kind of collapsed, and I think it's because the structure, the support structure, wasn't there to cover all three platforms. Fall, if you like. So if the grid were to expand to PC, it would only be done when myself and Darryl McCona, if we were completely 100% happy that we had the network there and the structure there to support anybody who would choose to run on PC, because it's a very, very dangerous game. Because if we were to expand and go, right, we do PC and we do it, and we don't have that, you know, that solid foundation there for it, it's going to fail. And if it fails, you know, that can bleed into the console side of it. So if it were to happen, it would only happen once, you know, there was a solid foundation of it.
If you ever do make that move to PC with the grid, I will support you. I will be there to help support.
I thought you would say that. And if it happens,
and to be
I'll
honest
definitely
with you,
come to you. I'll know if it does happen. I'll definitely come at you and say, Gally, is there anybody you know that can help us with this PC thing?
yeah, it's called the Sim Pit.
Well, I've actually just
We
started
do
following the Sim Pit channel and the Sim
you
Pit
bring
crew.
in some good racing. I know a lot of guys who would do it. You know, to do a lot of different stuff. I mean, right, Brandon? We have guys in there who would love to go just do some racing.
I mean, to be honest, I need to establish myself first within P.
He's freezing. He's freezing up more often.
I know your crossover was kind of you had to learn, so I've got to get to grips with the whole side on PC racing because it's different to the console side. Before anything, even serious talks were to happen, regarding that, I would need to be fully comfortable and confident on the PC before anything of that nature would happen, shall we say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but it's a nice thought that that you're finally doing this, and I'd like to think that the expansion is something you could possibly do. Like I said, you could be you have a decent amount of members, and you start doing the PC stuff. Like I said, I will be there because that's where I race. I've made quite a lot of friends. I could possibly get more guys into, hey, listen, we're doing this over here. You guys want to do something? Because a lot of our guys race in other places, not just the Sim Pit.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually start bringing some fun, exciting stuff. I don't see where. I think probably if you expanded the PC, you'd probably have an easier time than when you tried to start building it on Xbox because you're more established as it is.
I agree with that, especially if you've got the member base already to pull from. I think just for coming from the console side of leagues and seeing how things have been on PC, the tools at your disposal, excuse me, it's a lot easier in my opinion as far as the admin side of things on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't give that enough thought when they talk about leagues and setting up special events in these races. Is the admin side of it? There's a huge amount of work that goes into it behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean there is with the grid, we're a small admin team. There's a purpose for it being a small admin team.
Get the grid added to SRS.
Well, another thing that was kind of because me and Darryl spoke about this. Another thing that was mentioned was that if we were to expand. There's another way we can do it. We're going to do PC racing, but we're not going to run the club on PC. What we're going to do is we're going to have, right, if you're in the grid, fine. Race on PC, fine. Right, we're going to create a grid team, if you like, so you can race on PC and you can represent the grid that way. That would be another option if it happened where it would take away the admin side of it. So we could still admin it, through the Facebook page at the moment.
You have a lot of options, to be honest.
And do it that way, because then start running the actual club on PC. It's more admin. It's a different field. So therefore, and try to be in two places at once is kind of hard.
I'll run the American side with Daryl.
You want to work for me? Is that what you just?
I said I'll work with you, not for you.
Well, no. If you want to be one of my admins, mate, yeah. If you want to be my bitch, you heard it first. Gally wants to work for me. Never saw that coming. I used to work for him on GOC. Now he wants to work for me. Fuck yeah.
I already work for Sean. What the
fuck? Oh, cool. So me and Sean can fight over whose bitch you are then. Wicked.
I'm nobody's bitch.
If he works for you, then he's just, looking for the sexual harassment suit.
Never mind the suit, he just wants sexual harassment.
Probably the most action I get.
Any attention is good attention, isn't it?
So
not that I'm condoning sexual harassment, I just want to say that for legal purposes.
Oh, now that we've hit the 2-hour mark, so I think it's time for us to start wrapping this up.
Hold on. Darryl just... It's going to be hard to get Todd off career mode to play online.
Fuck you.
Oh, nice one, nice.
Nah, Daryl. See, me and Daryl have been trying to hook up to do something, and he contacted me the last night. I was just messing around in career mode. I don't particularly enjoy the public lobbies on Project Cars and stuff like that. So to me, I get kind of leery. But no, I mean, you want to do something, Daryl? I will do something. Whether I don't matter. So we'll plan something.
Well, Daryl's my bitch, so I'll see. If he's
I think Beth will have something to say about that.
If he's, huh?
I think Beth will have something to say about that.
No. So obviously, Daryl's listening. So Daryl, if you want to go out and play with Gally, make sure you ask me first. Okay, and I want you back in before the lights are on. No playing in the dark.
But we need to start wrapping this up. So basically, I think we're all in agreement. If you're just looking for fun, whether it be on PC or Xbox, and you want to have a good, fun car game, Horizon 4 will supply you with that, correct?
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to Assetto Corsa Competizione, while there's mixed opinions, I think now, of course, CJ not being involved in it because he can't play it. Me and Brandon, of course, have mixed opinions as it stands right now on build 1. Of course, there's still got 5 more builds to go before they even get the full release. But I think we both can be in agreement that at the price it sits at, and because you're not going to have to pay any extra money to get the rest of the content, getting in now at the cheaper price for a focused game to where even if it releases at the state it's in right now,
it's a bargain.
I think it's a bargain, and I think it's worth the money. So, yeah, I would definitely purchase it for the price it is now. Get involved with the development. If you're somebody who has never been involved in a game development like, Kunos originally did with Assetto Corsa, or Slightly Mad did with the Project Cars series, they did all this stuff. They had these guys playing these games for years. I mean, Project Cars was being played for years before it even went into full release because guys were part of the development.
Look at Wreckfest.
Yeah,
exactly.
7 years.
7 years in early access. Oh my god.
And now it's a great game.
Yes, and Wreckfest is a great game. So get involved with it. Get it at the cheaper price. You have a great title, which will be used for stuff. And as far as I've heard, SRS is going to support it. So if you don't know what SRS is, that's Sim Racing System, which is a nice global ranking system that does tournament or league style.
Well,
racing.
hopefully SRS doesn't need to support it, right? We don't know what's coming multiplayer wise, but it is supposed to have in-game ranking and safety rating.
Yeah, but Project Cars has that too.
It's executed well. Well, let's be honest. Lots of things about Project Cars 2 sucks.
Yeah. Can I just say, me and Gally, we were arguing about whose bitch Daryl was. I just got a message.
Not my bitch at all.
I just got a message from Beth.
Yeah.
Daryl was better half. No, Daryl was my bitch.
I told you. I told you you'd have to.
The phone just went. It's on the phone.
I told you Beth would have something to say about that.
Well, it's very nice of Beth to be willing to share like that.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you very much for that.
Well, it's nice to know there's more people out there listening. So,
oh man,
I'd like to thank Dave. Oh, look, there's Daryl in the comment section. Thank you for joining us, Daryl. Thank you for joining us, Dave, who is Daryl's brother. Heiko, Kimber, thank you all for joining us in the chat and supplying us with some information and some laughs. Thank you, Brandon Waters, for joining us on this podcast and providing some insight and his opinions and thoughts on things. So thank you very much, Brandon.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Fun.
Hey, and that's why I asked you here, because you've always been that guy that when we're in the Discord chats and stuff like that, you're always the level-headed guy. You're always you don't, what's the word I want to use? You don't just half-ass your opinions. And I respect a lot of the stuff you say because you actually, you think your opinions through, and that's another reason why I wanted to have you here, basically to keep me in check, because I know I could have went off on tangents. Because I was not, because and you guys can. I mean, if you watch the live feed of my first impression of the game of ACC, or if you were in their Discord, you knew I was pissed off at that game to start with. There was stuff I did like about it, but there was stuff that I mean, I really hate that Lambo. But
no, you made that clear.
It's that color scheme. Oh,
my biggest problem is the color effect, the cockpit view. And because a Lambo has no bonnet or hood, depending on what country you live in, you can't even do a bonnet view properly because there's no freaking hood. So it's like I had a horrible experience just getting my field of view to where I thought it was decent. A lot of guys are complaining about the triple screen support in that game also, to where the side monitors look like crap. It's like, come on. Again, early access people.
Listen, I could have just as easily, gone down that road and said, oh, what, no VR support right out of the gate? Come on, But the reality is it's still way off from release. And I've had conversations with, Billy Strange before about when he's helped with game development. And the reality is the amount of work that they can get done right up until release is astonishing.
Yeah.
And so for people to just, automatically be up in arms and say, oh, this is just going to be garbage, we're way too far away for that determination to be made. Enjoy it for what it is. It's a deal on something that you're getting to try, and it's beautiful, and it handles, as AC does. I don't think it's really anything different there, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's never been an issue with people before. And one thing that struck me the most about what's been improved is the sounds. The sound of that car, even though you hate that car, better. It sounds fantastic. I think it's touching on being close to
Don't say race room. Don't say race. No.
Touching. Close.
I think with any
your
beta,
holy grail.
Yeah, I think with any beta or test or game preview is not to give up on it. Put in the hours, put in the practice, put in the time, so that by the end of, say, I don't know, 4 hours of racing, whatever, you've actually got a very constructive outlook on what the game can offer, whatever type of game it is,
and have some constructive criticism about the game, to where you could offer some help to what may be lacking in a game. That's what these early access and betas and all that stuff are for. But a lot of people seem to forget that. When I did my original rant of how I was pissed off at the game, I wasn't thinking in that way. But I eventually do go that route and go, well, this is blah 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 blah. But you have guys that are just strictly, I paid money for it, this is what I should have got.
Yeah.
And since they're slowly releasing additional features like VR support and multiplayer, I think the purpose of this first wave is testing hardware and testing issues and going, okay, there's so many different combinations out there. We need the community to see what we
PCs
have a problem
with. There are so many different builds of PCs. You're not just building for one specific type of graphic card, CPU, but you're building for multiple things. So you need to really know how this is going to all work.
Yep. At the same time, with these betas and what have you, in some cases they are not putting in the full package just to see how far they can stretch out what's already there.
Yes.
And some people think, oh, it's not working. No, it's been deliberately released that way, so they can say, well, let's say we need, I don't know, 800 or something. Well, let's give it 4. Let's see how much we can get with 4. And see how the game operates. Right, okay, we'll do it on 5. In some cases, they might not need that 800 of whatever they want to do. They might just need 6 to make it work. And then that comes down to cost. Well, that's less money, right? Well, that money, let's put that into maybe another part of the title to improve it that way. And it's been shifting the funds around so you get the best out of it at the very end. But I think patience is probably the best word to use when it comes to any preview.
Absolutely.
Just be patient with it.
Yep.
I'm also surprised, though, and I will say this, I was kind of surprised that we've seen the roadmap for the whole development of the early access. We know all the 6 builds, what we're getting in the 6 builds. I was actually surprised that none of the builds are going to include the content they were showing off at, where was it? Was it E3? In the other conventions? I mean, they were using a car and track that we're not getting in the 6 builds.
Yeah, but you know yourself, mate, that with any game, but any game that's at E3, what's on screen isn't necessarily what you're going to get.
No, but they had these. With this you are. It's just like they had Spa, and I forget which car they were using. Was it the Ferrari?
They had a Ferrari, and I don't remember what Nissan GTR.
The Ferrari and the Nissan. So I think we are getting the Ferrari in the builds, but why wasn't Spa included in one of the 6 tracks we're going to get in the early access? You had it working. I don't get it.
Yeah, but maybe it's one of the tracks that isn't presenting them with any challenges, so they're deliberately putting in the stuff that's in the release is the stuff they know that's actually going to create a challenge for the developers and the software. So, if you know a track works and works well, and there's it needs no tweaking, why put it in the early access? Because they're not going to learn anything from it.
Yeah. Actually, Brandon, are they? I can't remember this off the top of my head. Are the tracks laser scanned? Are all of them laser scanned in this game?
I have heard, and I haven't seen anything official, but I've heard through the rumor mill that they are. Now that's what I've heard. Now it could be a misquote, and it may have been a forum or in Discord or somewhere that I saw that. So it's secondhand information, but I have heard that they are.
Okay. And if you're somebody who's on PC and you don't, or not on PC, and you don't know the difference, there is a large, huge difference between a laser scan track and a track that's just developed by point of view or whatever, or by pictures. There is a big difference. I mean, look at what happens with Forza. They when they first brought out their weather, they totally had all the puddles and water runoffs wrong because they don't do laser scanning for Forza. So, but when you had
that's why the
Project Cars, Project Cars 2, not Project Cars 2, but Project Cars 1. That's why there was, you didn't have laser scan tracks in there. It was something totally different. So, to be on PC, you can tell the difference when it comes to a laser scan track and a non-laser scan.
Heiko says they are scanned.
They are scanned. Okay.
Yeah, I think the most recent example of differences would be Magello, which is a Assetto Corsa on the console, has just been released on Project Cars 2. And you race them, and yes, the layout's the same, but elevations are different, track surface is different. You've got to approach both. I know it's 2 different games, but completely different.
Oh yeah,
there's certain
exactly.
corners. There's some of the corners of Magello I can take it cracking speeds on a Assetto Corsa. Put on Project Cars 2, I can't take it the same speed in the same car.
Well, that has a lot to do with tire models also.
Yeah. But even so, even some of the elevations are way off.
Which is Race Room is a perfect example of that when you're talking about elevations and non-laser scan tracks. The Road America track that came out on Race Room. When you get to the back half of the track, and you have that large sweeping right-hander that comes to the back straightaway, there's not. There's the decline or the downhill portion of it. It's more level in Race Room than it is actually downhill, and it's because it's not laser scan. They just did it off of. So, and if you race it in other games, whether it be Assetto Corsa or R Factor 2, you'll feel and you'll see that it's more of a downhill on that right sweeping right-hander. Right, Brandon?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that when you try different versions, be it whatever sim, trying to differentiate. I've even done scanned ones where it's like, okay, this one feels different than the other scanned one I've tried. And especially being in VR, having that presence and that depth of field and depth of view, you can really sense those elevation changes and details like that differently. So I think it makes a difference there as far as being able to differentiate.
Wow.
Okay.
Kimber went into big.
Shwent big into cut and paste.
Oh yeah.
She's good at
Masaruto
research.
tells us more. Laser scan results in crazy precision in terms of accuracy, track details, slopes, bumps, and curves, as well as shapes and size. Something that often isn't taken into consideration enough, in my opinion. Also, these circuits already included in the first Assetto Corsa have been updated in order to provide an overall product that includes the most updated version of each single car and track in the game. So thank you, Kimber, for that.
Nice one.
So yeah, we basically what I'm getting from that is if you have both AC and ACC, and you try and race the same type of car on the same track, you're supposedly going to get two different takeaways because it's not going to feel the same. From what, according to that, there's going to be more precision used in ACC. So you should have two different experiences from both titles. But so we're going to have to leave it there, though. I think we've went well enough into detail on our opinions and information as far as these games are concerned.
Exciting times.
Exciting times. And you know, it's great to have a new sim racing title coming out because, as we said before, it's been a while since we've actually had a true sim title releasing. But we do have more. I mean, just next year, supposedly we're going to be getting GTR 3 from Simbin, which is also using the Unreal 4 engine. They're basically doing the testing for Race Room, who is going to be switching to the Unreal 4 engine. So Race Room is even going to be getting better. So we've got a lot coming up in the next couple of years with sim racing. So if you're in sim racing and you're in PC racing or just getting into PC racing, there is a lot of exciting stuff coming up and a lot of stuff for us to look forward to. So stay tuned. We'll eventually get into all of that. We've got one more show to go next week before the show goes on hiatus and I'm back out on the road. And we'll do a little things here and there for what short times I periodically come home. So keep a lookout
When he's
for
on the
that
run
stuff.
from killing hookers.
Keep a lookout for all of that. But again, I'd like to thank Brandon Waters for joining us today. Really appreciate
Thank you, Brandon.
his.
Thank you, guys. It was an honor, pleasure being here.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you. Really enjoy your insight and your opinions. Thank you, CJ, and I'm excited, buddy. I'm sad that I'm going to be leaving when your inaugural PC racing starts, but I'm so
My timing's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to you getting your first bite on PC racing and stuff like that. So that's great news.
CJ, we'll get you up to speed so you can put the smackdown on him when he gets back.
He's got nothing to say. You left him speechless.
No.
But anyway, again, thank everybody for joining us today. I'm Todd for CJ and Brandon. Take it easy. Catch you next time.
Take it easy, Trips.
Thank you.